I'm sitting here stuck in traffic, thinking about white Christians or Christian nationalists, and I think that has a lot to do with one of the reasons why I really can't stand Christians. The other side of not being able to stand Christians is, black Christians. We enslaved people. Christianity was forced on our ancestors, and we walk around embracing this shit like it's nothing, acting like white Jesus and acting like the religion of the very people who conquered and oppressed us is going to save us. Like, that shit just blows my mind. But looking at, some of the white people that I, grew up with and around, and even new ones that I discovered, that, they really think of themselves as good people. They really do. And, I mean, so many people have seen this with, the way that all these evangelical Christians went out and supported Donald Trump. And it's like, Donald Trump is literally the antithesis of everything that they claim that they represent, right? Multiple times divorced, right? Freaking baby mamas all over the place, right? Womanizer, grab her in the pussy, although the coded language of, make America great again, don't help those lazy black folks, coded, minority black folks. And, it happened at the time with, George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter protests, and everything that just basically happened last summer, right? But there's a history. There's a history behind, these sort of racial sentiments in America. And it's just comical to sit there and watch. See, I already knew it. I wasn't surprised. The hypocrisy of white Christians doesn't surprise me. That's for, the black Christians to have to, deal with that. And what everybody does, because they want to defend their angle of their religion, is they say, oh, well, they're not Christians, right? Anytime some Christians do something that's unchristian-like, they'll say, well, they're not real Christians, we're true Christians. So there's no real way to correct any of this shit, because whenever the those that represent Christianity do something fucked up, other Christians will dive in. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter what group I'm talking about, they will dive in and they'll say, well, they're not really Christians. So the shit is not correctable, despite the fact that they'll look at any other group, any other religion, somebody, hijacks a plane and blows it up screaming Allahu Akbar, it's all of Islam, right? Like I said, the Taliban represents all of Islam. The Ku Klux Klan does not represent Christianity. But, like, I'm thinking about just the people I know. Like, I talk about that white guy that, I'm friends with and whatnot, or acquaintances, associates with, man. And I just, he's had so many problems just growing up. His parents didn't really do the right thing. Now they're like mooching off of him. He caught the domestic charge, putting hands on his wife because he caught her cheating. Came out the closet on some Chris Hansen shit, reading the transcripts of what she had typed, to this other guy on Facebook. This is right after they had a baby. And, he snapped on her, don't lie to me, right? You can picture that. Don't lie to me, bitch. Slapping her across the face. Ah! She flying across the kitchen and shit. Cops came, arrest him. He gets charged. Starts a company because basically he became an honorary nigga. Because due to his domestic charge, he couldn't get a job. He couldn't get a job for the life of him. Couldn't even get a job at a car dealership because he had this domestic violence charge. And the way that it looked, you catch a domestic violence charge, it just looked like you were just walked into the kitchen with your sweaty wife beaters. Bitch, I said scramble. You just slapping her across tuna casserole. Just slapping her across the plate, all across the room. And that's not how it went down. I know the details, but nobody else does. I'm like, yeah, you working hard and everything else and going to work every day, and you come to find out that your wife is out there fucking some guy that can't provide the lifestyle that you provided. Oh, yeah, I totally I totally understand his anger. Totally. I totally comprehend it. You know? But he didn't control his anger that day, and now, you know, he's got this domestic violence charge, can't own a firearm, right? Even though he has them illegally, right? Some more nigga shit, right? Isn't it funny how, like, you get all these white niggas, right? Like, Donald Trump is like a white nigga, right? Like if you look at Obama and you compare him to Trump, like, and you just started describing, you know what their situation was, everybody would swear that Donald Trump is the nigga, not Obama. And the same thing goes, you know, with this white guy. You know, it's like, you know, of the two people, you know what I'm saying? Of the two of us, only one of us has kids by multiple women. You know, of the two of us, only one of us is barred from firearms ownership. You know what I mean? And he gets none of the reputation. Why? Because he's a white man. He gets none of the reputation. He's the one with all the dings on his report card. None of the reputation. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. But, hey, this is what happens when you live in the system of white supremacy, right? They get the benefit of the doubt. But, you know, it's like listening to him and, you know, his whole orientation with, like, what do you want to call it? His whole orientation with Christianity and, let me back up. And his whole orientation with Christianity, like, it's like he's got a lot, and I find this with a lot of, like, Christians. They got a lot of demons a lot of times. I remember, I think it was Cat was having a conversation with Statuesque One, and I think Statuesque, you know, made the point about, yeah, you know, church is the place for sinners. That's where sinners go. You know, people who have all these issues, you know, they go to church. The people that don't have any issues, they don't go to church because they don't got to sort that shit out. You know, and that's the part of the thing that angers me about Christians, especially black Christians, because I'm like, you haven't sorted this shit out. Like, you can't sort out, like, what's right from wrong and stuff like that. Like, you can't sort that out. Like, you gotta literally sit there and go through life with this idea that, you know, some secret, you know, invisible sky daddy is overwatching and overlooking, you know, your entire life and making sure that shit is gonna happen. And you got to think about, like, the solipsism, and you got to think about the egocentricity of all that. Like, it's like, for real? Like you literally think that if you pray to this God, like, he's going to reorganize the whole universe just for you because you're special. And like I said, like, when you look at history and you look at the world, you know, Christians, non-Christians, people, other groups, different faiths, different beliefs and shit like that. There's people that from go got hit with a raw, dirty deal. Children getting hit with cancer. Slaves, born a slave, died a slave. But yet you're special. You're special. You know what I'm saying? I can't tolerate the arrogance. You know, this guy has an estranged relationship with his daughter. You know, like, because he went off and, you know, after, you know, he slapped his wife up, they got a divorce, obviously, and he moved to the other side of the country and started his, you know, his business, his company, which, you know, is doing extremely well. But he left his daughter with the mother, right? And this is something that Cap has always pointed out to me, like, you know, as a man, it's like, if you can't handle her as a grown-ass man, what makes you think that your child is going to be able to handle her? You know what I'm saying? Her, you know, the mom being on bullshit and just being crazy and doing impulsive shit and whatnot. And you're gonna leave your child, male or female, in that environment. You've already deemed the mother to be fucked up, but you're going to leave the child in that environment. So, like, right off top, like, that in my book, that's where he fucked up. Like, so you left your daughter there. So then he's got this estranged relationship with his daughter that, you know, over the last, you know, 15 years, he's had this on and off relationship with. You know, he complains about, you know, her looking at him like he's just a wallet. He takes her shopping and buys her everything that she wants. And he does it because he's trying to compensate for the fact that he wasn't there. And then the worst part is, he's got another child that he had from the new marriage that he got into, and that child knows an intact home. But his oldest child doesn't know of an intact home. And then, when she goes over there, to visit her father, I mean, just think about being that child. Like, wow, this is real nice. That how you set this up, for the daughter that you had with another woman, but you didn't set this up for me. You know what I mean? Now, granted, I'm only going to put some of that on him because, real talk, it was his wife that messed it up because he caught her cheating. But still, I'm like, you still left her there, man. You should have got custody. But he was too busy grinding, trying to put his company together, that I guess he figured, let the mom handle it and I'll, show up occasionally. But I'm like, you still got an estranged relationship with your daughter, man. She still is a young woman trying to, sort out who she is. You know how, teenage adolescent girls are. They got to sort out, they got to deal with the beauty and try and deal with their femininity and trying to find their place, and the ideas of them being pretty enough and all this other bullshit. And you as the father are not there. I'm not gonna lie, like, in the back of my mind secretly, because I know he's got his conservative leanings, I'm saying to myself, I'm like, I hope your daughter goes out there and gets with the blackest of thuggiest of thugs. I hope she's just like, Daddy, I love him. And it's, she brings home Jamal and shit. Some dude that probably I wouldn't even approve of. And I'm just going to sit there with my arms full. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, motherfucker. Go ahead and tell me what you really want to say. Go ahead and break that shit down to me. On top of the fact that I already know, I'm like, what are you really going to say? Even if we get beyond the racial tip, I'm like, what are you going to say? Your daughter is out here picking the wrong dudes because you weren't there, motherfucker. What you want me to say? Yeah, but I'm saying, he going to try to turn it into some racial shit and whatnot. And I'm going to be like, nah, motherfucker. She's out there seeking dysfunction because you left her in dysfunction. Again, upstanding white man. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I would just be tickled watching all this shit unfold. And it very might happen. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, ain't no telling what she's on because you weren't there, motherfucker. You weren't there. You know what I mean? But, like, this is the whole thing. Like, he's so, like, oh, Jesus this and righteous this and all this other shit and the sweet twinkle of Christ in your eye and the warm, fuzzy feeling of Jesus in your bosom and all this other shit. And I'm like, man, for the longest time, you had a little girl just out there. I'm not going to say that he didn't contribute. He didn't get her what she needed. You know what I mean? But honestly, he was compensating way too much with resources and not enough with love. And you know how hard it is for me to, like, actually say that and spell it out. But nah, it's true. It's true. You know what I mean? Like what he was doing, you know what I mean? Like, he turned himself into a paycheck only for him to bitch about being seen as a paycheck. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, motherfucker, you weren't there. Of course and then you compensate by going off and buying her whatever she wants because you weren't there. And then you're mad that she sees you as a paycheck. You put yourself in that position. Because you didn't really want to deal with the emotional shit. You didn't want to deal with what she was going through because of what you helped create. I'm not going to put it all on him, but I'm like, but what you helped to create. Because you just didn't want to deal. You didn't want to deal with the mom, and you wanted to, focus on your business, and you didn't really want to be bothered with dealing with, being a man, raising, girls who doesn't have an experience raising girls. You know what I'm saying? I already know God's probably going to throw me a curveball. You know what I mean? If you want to throw up God, you know what I mean? I know I'm going to get curveball. I'm going to get daughters and shit. They be like, yeah, motherfucker, you was talking all that good shit. Here's a daughter. Here's a daughter. Here's a daughter. Here's a daughter. Now deal with it. Because I don't have any practice with dealing with women like that. So that would be a learning experience on my part. But I'm just saying, like, just his whole Christian orientation, like, isn't it hard to sit there and watch Christians? They just be fucking up and just be on bullshit and, just living this life of, hypocrisy. These damn hippo Christ. And then when you call him out on it, oh, I'm not perfect. Only the Lord is perfect. Only Jesus is perfect. I'm like, motherfucker, you're not even trying. In one of these documentaries I was watching about white Christian nationalists, where it talked about how, because this is my whole, like, if you're going to be a Christian or a Muslim or whatever the fuck you're going to be, like, actually be about it. You know what I mean? I look at a lot of these Christians and Muslims and shit like that. I look at a lot of them like they the type of, they like wannabe street niggas running around waving flags and shit, throwing up Crip signs, got the blue flag and shit like that. And then when somebody run up on them, you know what I mean? Now all of a sudden they scared. Now they don't know anything. Now they're not so gangster anymore. That's how I look at a lot of these Christians and these Muslims. They're not really about it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of in name, or it's just kind of in jest, or it's just because, some family shit, it's cultural, and they really can't denounce it and say, oh, I'm not this anymore, I don't believe anymore. I find that a lot of people who claim Christianity, this is the whole problem with people are the religion that they are because they're born into it. You know what I mean? They don't really believe or subscribe to the shit. You know what I mean? If you ask them, they'll swear up and down that they do, but then when you look at how they're living, they don't. They really don't. But the one of the documentaries I was watching, basically said, because this is how I look at Christians. I'm like, the whole idea of Christianity, right? You're supposed to, heal the sick, right? Feed the poor, right? No, excuse me. Feed the hungry, help the poor, right? That's what you're supposed to do. Like all these things, try to make the world a better place, right? But what I notice is, and this was said in one of the Christian nationalist videos, where Christianity is reduced to a very individualistic idea or concept. And that's what this guy is on. He's on the, well, what about for all of eternity? So he's literally like trying to buy his way into heaven. Like he reminds me of Constantine, with Keanu Reeves and shit like that. He's literally trying to like buy his way back into heaven. But yeah, he doesn't really do any of this stuff. Like, in other words, like his whiteness and his conservative views are diametrically opposed with his Christianity, and he doesn't even realize it. Everything is just like me, my money, low taxes, I'm not paying for shit, no reparations for slavery, that happened a long time ago, I ain't got nothing to do with that, I believe in generational wealth, but I don't believe in generational debt, all that shit. And I've been known that, like Christianity does not trump group economics and tribalism and all these things, like, people giving up their advantage all in the name of Christianity. Like, they're not going to do that, whether they created the advantage or the people who came before them created the advantage. They're not going to give it up. Again, another reason why it's all bullshit to me. It's bullshit to me. You know what I'm saying? And, it's like they're just sitting around waiting for the rapture. Well, I don't need to fix any of this or be a better Christian or help other people and do all the shit that the Bible says, because Jesus is the second coming of Christ is happening, and the world is going to come to an end, and because I simply said that Jesus is my Lord and Savior, I will be saved and all of you will be doomed and shit like that. But in the meantime, moo-ha-ha all the way to the top. I'm grabbing all this resources and wealth, and, that's what it is. And I'm not helping, sharing, healing, feeding anybody but myself. This is the majority of white Christians that are out here. Black people got a different version of Christianity. Black people are just hoping to die because, we's po and we don't have nothing and we ain't never gonna have nothing. And so we just gotta make sure we get into heaven, because when we get to heaven, all will be equalized and all will be revealed, and black people will be in their McMansions, in heaven when we die, and we won't have to deal with white supremacy, and we won't have to deal with inequality, and we won't have to deal with any of this shit. So you get all these black folks, and it always happens like after they like 65. Black folks out here, highest murder rate, highest kids out of wedlock rate, highest poverty rate. We out here fornicating, having kids out of wedlock and everything. Then when a nigga hits 65, then all of a sudden he got to get his Steve Harvey tan suit. Then he got to go up in the church. Right now he want to talk about Jesus and talk about all the bad shit that he did back in the day and all this stuff that he did. I know some niggas are part of the Nation of Islam that are just like that too. Now all of a sudden, they community focused. And I'm not saying that somebody can't change. I'm just like, it's kind of bullshit to me that people want to change after they're too old to do shit. You know what I'm saying? When they're too decrepit to actually get anything done. Then all of a sudden, I see the light, right? But when they're actually physically capable of doing some shit, nah, I'd rather run around, fuck some bitches, yeah, I know I got 4 baby mamas and shit, but, I'm out here getting bitches, and that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, shit, I'm too old to fuck anymore. Oh, what am I gonna do? I'm realizing or recognizing my own mortality. Oh, I know, now I must go and freaking, find me a church or find me a mosque or masjid somewhere and hamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, amen, praise Jesus, all that shit, and I'll be saved. It's just bullshit. I can't stand religious people. They're so full of shit. These same old ass niggas that's running around all religious and shit are a great deal of the problems that exist today. You know what I'm saying? Same with the white folks. When you go over there to the white folks, and that's why you see all these white youth running around. Okay, boomer. You know what I mean? White people so goddamn selfish. They trying to maintain white supremacy, and they spent the last 50 years screwing over their own kids with deindustrialization, jobs going overseas, putting their children and their grandchildren in obnoxious amounts of college debt. Can't buy a house for a decent house for less than $250,000. People not even making a fraction, not even making enough to even pay for something like that. On top of that fact that the $250,000 house that you be buying is fucking 50 years old. It's got a whole bunch of problems and everything else. There's your muhaha white supremacy. I'm saying, when you really look at it, like, man, black people give white people too much credit sometimes, because I'm telling you, white supremacy got some half-baked ass ideas. And truth be told, there's like 2 layers of white supremacy. There's like the white supremacy, like the white nationalists that you see, and freaking, Red Ice and shit like that, and Stefan Molyneux and shit like, that's like the lower tier. The upper tier are, the oligarchy, the muhaha, you know what I mean? The ones that, the people that, control, the infrastructures, and it's more about class as so much as it is about race, but guaranteed they're going to make sure that they're on top. They're always going to make sure that they're in control and they're on top. But when it comes to, whether they form alliances with, those of their own race or those that have wealth, I think that they're going to form alliances with people who have wealth, and then, increase their wealth, and then, capitalize on controlling, whatever the white race or the white group or whatever, and then all that stuff that you see, the global politics, all that is to keep the masses distracted. We gotta fight China, we gotta fight this, and we gotta fight that and that. But like, do they really care about, like, think about it, like, if they don't care about whether you're gainfully employed and whether you have a job, then why the fuck would they care about whether you control the oil fields in Antarctica, so that America stays ahead and stays on top. No, they're only doing that because that needs to be done in order for them to maintain their position. It's not really about some sort of nationalistic ideal or even some racial ideal. I'm not saying you don't have any white people who operate on that, but in my opinion, they're the lower rung of white society. They're not the supreme leader, oligarchy, muhaha white folks. That's just my opinion. And it's probably even more complex, and there's probably more layers than that. I'm just giving you, my general sense of it, from a cursory, superficial, examination. I know this other woman, she's a white woman, she's like, I went to Africa to feed the starving African children. I'm like, you ain't changing the conditions of any of those people in Africa. You go over there, pat yourself on the back, oh, I helped some starving African children. Oh, look at me. I've guaranteed myself into the pearly gates of heaven, right? But you're not really changing the conditions of the people, right? White supremacy is not going to do that. They need the raw materials that are beneath the Africans' feet. If black people were independent and powerful and it was Wakanda, right? You saw the Black Panther movie, right? They wanted the vibranium. The Wakandans wouldn't give it to them. They got the whole location of Wakanda in a damn cloaking device so nobody can find the bitch. You see what I'm saying? So, again, nobody wants Africa to be on its feet. Nobody wants Africa to be self-sufficient and self-reliant and all that shit. White supremacy wants black people to stay right where they are in a perpetual state of victim blaming yourself, when, they really do not want you to be as, self-reliant and independent as they'll claim to try to shame you to be, because if that were the case, then they couldn't control you. They couldn't control your land. They couldn't control your resource. None of that shit. They couldn't control the shit. Same thing I say about the damn carpenters unions, in Philadelphia and many of these other unions that they have. They take out the vocational programs from the predominantly black schools because they don't want to have to compete with black carpenters. You see? They want to be able to have exclusive monopoly on the carpentry in Philadelphia. And that's just to name one area. But all of the trades are like that. They don't want that. No, we don't take these vocational programs out of the schools. We don't want that. Just like they took the music programs out of the schools. We don't want that. Now what do you got? You got black kids that can't read music. You got black kids that don't play instruments. How do you think we got the freaking Ray Charles and the Jimi Hendrix and the Princes? You know what I'm saying? Or groups like Switch. Or the Jackson 5, or all of Motown. They played instruments. Chuck Berry, B.B. King. They played instruments. Now, it's like, oh, let me get on the mic and rap because, we don't play. That's like I swear, like the last like bastion of a group, that actually plays instruments to me is like the Roots. I have seen, people play instruments in Philadelphia. They got the School of Musical Arts, right there. But, other than when they want to take a song, Roddy Ricch has a song and then they're like, we want to do a live interpretation of Ballin'. That's the only time you're going to see black musicians get any type of gig, that pays worth anything. So it's just a slow, just decline. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. I'm just saying, the Christianity and all that and all this magical bullshit, like, people are just full of shit. They're shitty. I look at the outcomes, man. I don't pay attention to what people tell me about the gospel and the religion and this, that, and the third. They're shitty. They're shitty. And for people who think that, that shitty members of an organization don't reflect on the organization itself, you're kidding yourself. Motherfuckers want to sit there and be like, yeah, this is the Bible and we're all Christians and all the Christians are fucked up, but the Bible is perfect. we are just fucked up. I'm like, what do y'all even aspire to? I mean, seriously, what do y'all aspire to? I mean, we see the hypocrites and the hypocrisy in the black community. Black women running around want to tell you about Jesus, got fucking multiple baby daddies and shit like that, kids all over the place. Like, bitch, doesn't the Bible say something about not fornicating? You know what I mean? Doesn't the Bible say something about bastard children and shit? But you just out here just busting it wide open and whatnot. But then in any other argument or any other context, they want to start throwing out scripture. I can only submit to a man of God. I can only submit to a man that follows the Lord. Bullshit. No, bitch. You just want to find some justification to be able to do whatever the fuck you want to do, or not do what you need to be doing, or not do what the man has guided you to do. Well, I only submit to a God-fearing Christian. And it just so happens that ain't none of these niggas out here God-fearing. Bullshit, bitch. You just want to do what the fuck you want to do. Bullshit. You bullshitting ass bitch. You know, I'm just like, I mean, I know I'm not making this shit up. Y'all see it. Y'all see it. You know, I'm preaching to the choir because the people who listen to me, the vast majority of you already know I'm telling the truth. You know, there's something wrong with people when you got to sit there and you got to have a holy book or some idea of a sky daddy to go out here and for people to do what they already know is right. The fact of the matter is doing what's right is hard and it requires discipline. And most people either A, don't have the discipline, or B, don't have the damn intelligence to recognize without God, you know what I mean? Without inferring God that, like, look, this has to be done because if this doesn't get done, then chances are this is what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like my man doesn't need the Bible to say, hey, man, you need to have a better relationship with your daughter. I don't need the Bible to sit there and sort out the fact that she's going to have a bunch of emotional problems that might equate to her having a kid out of wedlock with some guy that you don't approve of because you're not there. I don't need the fucking Bible to tell me that shit. You see what I'm saying? I don't need the Bible to tell me that shit. So, like, I don't understand why people can't, you know, lever A touches lever B touches lever C. Because that's what you need in the vast majority of life. You need to be able to see shit coming. Like, people always want to point to scripture and grab on scripture. That always tells me that you're not thinking. You can't think for yourself. You got to go to some other source or some other reference in order to, you know, you've been given the problem. 2 + 3 = what? You've been given the math. All you got to do is solve the equation. And it's like people can't solve the equation. They get stuck. And they're like, 2 + 3, oh my God, what does it equal? I don't know. Oh my God, oh, what should I do? What should I do? Oh my God, where should I go from here? 2 + 3 = oh my God, what does it equal? Oh my God, somebody tell me. Oh, hold on, I know it's in the Bible. Let me open up the scripture. Oh wait, it's got to be in here. Maybe it's in Leviticus. Oh, maybe it's in Matthew. Maybe it's in Corinthians. Oh my God, where's the answer? 2 + 3 = I'm like, are you that motherfucking dumb? Are you that dumb that you can't figure this shit out? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when we want to talk about competing and shit like that against other groups, or, you know, internally within groups or whatever, intra-racially or interracially, however you want to describe it, I'm like, for the people who think fast, who get shit done, like, you are going to be behind. And not only that, you're going to be subject to, if one of them is evil, you're going to be subject to their rule and subject to their bullshit. Which is really the true purpose of religion in the first place. It's a bunch of fucking smoke and mirrors to get you to waste your time and waste your energy with that shit. Meanwhile, the people that are at the top going moo ha 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 just make decisions like this. Boom, boom. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Boom, boom. And you can sit there all you want. Well, that was evil. Who gives a fuck? I'm on top. I set the rules, I set the pace, I set the tone. It ain't a goddamn thing that you can do about it. Because I can moo-ha-ha, always pay half the poor to kill the other half. You know, this is the ruthless world that we live in. Here comes the Christians. Oh, well, see, the rapture is going to come and end all of this, and then it'll all be done. And think about it. You're going to take all the same assholes on planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? And then what, you're going to divvy them up? All the stupid people, they go to hell. All the assholes, they go to hell. And all the good people who are, the ironic part is all the people who think that they're good, majority of which of them are not only assholes, but they're dumb. And somehow, what, you're going to go to heaven and be smarter, and heaven's going to be a great place? I don't care. How does that work? How do you maintain being you? And I'm saying that you're fucked up and you're dumb and you got all these other issues and everything. And somehow you're going to be you and you're going to go to heaven and you're not going to be an asshole in heaven just like you were on earth. Like, this shit don't make any sense. How can you be you and go to heaven and then everything's good in heaven, and you got all the assholes that all think they're moral and righteous and just. But again, look at planet Earth. Whether from, you want to talk about the environment, the fucking hole in the ozone layer, the polar ice caps melting, social justice, racial justice, inequality, wealth gaps, starving children, all this shit. It's all man-made, and it could all be solved. But nobody wants to do it. If you believe in aliens and interventionary evolution, we are not worthy to the mantle of responsibility for aliens to come through and be like, oh, here's some technology, here's some this. We can't even handle thermonuclear weapons, right? We can't handle, firearms and shit like that, truth be told. I'm all about the Second Amendment, but, the fact of the matter is you still got assholes in the world that are going to use it. I'm only about the Second Amendment, real talk, to balance out evil. I mean, that's the fact of the situation. But if there were some aliens that were observing and watching human beings and everything, I would be on the alien mothership looking at Earthlings like, yeah, these motherfuckers ain't ready, man. Like, they ain't ready. We came here the first time trying to bestow them with some shit. They got it all twisted. You know what I mean? They killed the damn motherfucker that we sent and shit. Kicked them in the hole. This is Sparta! Kicked them in the fucking hole and shit. And like, oh, man. They still ain't ready. Should we wipe them out? Should we do like the movie, the Day the Earth Stood Still? I mean, just look at it. Just look at it. You're supposed to become a part of some, interstellar, intergalactic community or some shit like that. And you can't even sort out differences with people that got, a different skin color or a flatter nose or, some other features, than you. I'm mainly talking to white folks when I say that. But, like, you can't even sort that shit out, but yet you want to be a part of the Star Trek universe. You want to be a part of the, Battlestar Galactica and freaking Star Wars and all this other advanced shit. Oh, wouldn't it be cool to travel the cosmos and discover things and colonize other worlds and shit like why? And bring all the toxic shit that goes on here on Earth to other places? I mean, maybe that's a constant. Maybe it's just a part of who we are, be it the fact that, Earth is just like one big petri dish and we're all here on a finite planet with finite resources, fighting over limited space, limited water, limited land, limited resources. So, the whole point of reproduction is, to ensure one's genetic survival and pass that on. And so, maybe that's just a part of the whole situation. Maybe it's just a part of our hard wiring and we're just savages like that, especially when you go and you look at the way that they talk about Neanderthal were here and these other human groups were here and whatnot, and they all got wiped out. And what group became supreme, right? Homo sapiens. They got all these other groups that were here at the same time. Again, going back to the idea that humanity is much older than people actually think it is, or Homo sapiens are much older than they actually think it is. So there's all type of theories and shit that, people can dive into, but I'm just saying, maybe it's just a part of the hardwiring, and morality is just a constant struggle. Because I'll be the first one to tell you that Darwinism and morality, they really can't occupy the same space. Survival of the fittest versus morality, operating at a higher consciousness. They can't really operate in the same space with limited resources. You would need infinite resources or near infinite resources, which would only happen if human beings found faster than light travel and were able to transcend and go to and colonize different planets around, the galaxy. If they were able to do that, then you might have, something different, but there'll still be like a screwed up phase, and the inner colonies fighting the outer colonies, because the inner colonies are the ones that provided all the initial resources for the space exploration. And you'll have these mega conglomerates and mega corporations like the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and they will be saying that, we control this territory and that territory. It'll still be like the same thing, but on like as capitalism on Earth, but on a much bigger scale. You know what I mean? And you'll have the colonists, just like with the American Revolution. The colonists will be like, who are the inner planets telling us on Alpha Centauri what we must do when we're the ones that are out here and we're the ones that are probably... It'll be like that shit. And you see this in all type of video games. The themes are the same, constant. You see this in video games like Killzone. You see this in video games like Titanfall. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same thing over. Somebody talked about history repeats itself. I saw that on some thread somebody posted not too long ago. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. Of course, history is going to repeat itself if human nature is the same. So in my opinion, I think that the goal for humanity should not be, like what religion attempts to do is religion attempts to try to conquer human nature. And I'm saying it's one tool, which I think is woefully ineffective. I think that the tool of conquering human nature is for people to really understand human nature. You got all these guys sitting online, white MGTOWs, female nature. You have to understand female nature. Well, if you truly understood female nature, then why are you so goddamn frustrated with women? If you understand their nature, if you understand how they are, then you should have the proper tools to navigate around that. Just saying. You see, but the idea and the concept is if you can understand how humanity is and how human beings actually are and what happens if you put them in desperate situations. I like what Christopher Hedges said, where he said, it's like, you got like, 10% of people who will be good no matter what. And then you got 10% of people who will be evil no matter what. And then you got, 80% of people in the middle that whether they're good or evil is all dictated on, what the situation is on the ground. Is there prosperity? Then most of the people will be good. But if there's suffering and if there's a lack of resources, then people will do what they need to do to survive. Going back to that whole, and you can look it up on YouTube, the video 9 Meals Away from Anarchy. Watch that video. I think there's several of them. 9 Meals Away from Anarchy. That should tell you everything you need to know. So truth be told, peace on Earth will not happen ever, probably. But I'm saying peace, forget saying peace on Earth. Peace for humanity won't happen until there's infinite resources, which means we would have to achieve faster than light travel, and then people would have to go. But now whatever conflicts they have on those planets will be whatever conflicts they have. But I'm saying in a situation where you have, nobody's in poverty because you have all the raw materials of the galaxy at your disposal, then there should be, a lot more, significant amounts of peace. Then at that point, people are just being evil just to be evil if they're, being evil. Things like jealousy, you fuck my girl, or something like that. Like I said, there's no way for aliens to reach the level of technological advancement of traveling across the galaxy, solar system, interdimensional space travel, or whatever the hell you want to call it. There's no way to develop all that and not be benevolent beings. You know what I'm saying? To not have already resolved their own differences in order to become, a tier 1 civilization. You got to get over the bullshit. Nobody's hungry, nobody's starving. You're just kind of like, hey, God, if you want to talk about God, made the universe big enough to where, like the whole idea of you running out of some shit is virtually impossible. So at that point, with the idea that, hey, there's enough to here go around for everybody, then why would you have to fight over resources? Now, obviously, there's complexities that come into play, because obviously colonizing other worlds and then you would evolve into something else, comes into play, on top of the fact that what if there's germs on that planet and you can't, and then people are going to die, the first colonizer are going to die because there's some germ on the planet that kills them and all this other stuff. And so, there's ideas and concepts of like biomes that a species are only allotted a particular area, right? And or a particular planet or particular conditions, right? What's so funny is that game Mass Effect addressed that. I think who are the people that were like the mole people? They were like mole people. They needed to be on like a high pressure planet or something like that. And then in the game you went around and you discovered other planets, and then you were telling the mole people like, hey, we found a planet for you. We can't do anything with it, but it's perfect for your species. But it's not good for us, So I thought that was interesting that they threw that in the game in the first Mass Effect, which was just an amazing game. But I didn't play Mass Effect 2 and I didn't play Mass Effect 3, I kind of, once I discovered, who the Leviathans were, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, but, most people can't wrap their heads around the type of shit that I'm talking about. That's why I wish some aliens would come down tomorrow and just sit there with a bag of popcorn and watch all these religious people's heads explode, man. Oh my God, I'll be sitting there just ejaculating all over the screen and shit like that. Oh, I would love it. They'd be trying to question the aliens. They're like, oh, do you know what this book is right here? The alien would be like, what you talking about? You know what this is right here. Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, right? Like, no. We've been traveling, observing and watching y'all and shit. Oh man, it would be hilarious watching all these religious people's heads explode. Recognizing that if it ain't interventionary evolution, then it's just some made up shit. Some made up shit that our ancestors came up with because, they were trying to find ways to explain and justify shit. Oh my God, like people, suicide rate would go up like crazy because this is what happens, again, the feeble human mind. They're not capable of being confronted with new information. They get the new information and they be like, oh, I can't handle it. I've dedicated my entire life to Christianity and you telling me it's not real. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it would be. I'm telling you. Islam, same thing. What you mean? They would be fucked up. And you know what I would be doing? I would be eating that shit up, man. I would be fucking dying over here, man. Just cracking up. Like, try to tell y'all motherfuckers with your simple ass mindset and shit like that. Now we can get on to what do these damn aliens want? What are they trying to do? What are they trying to teach us? What are they trying to bestow on us? What must we do to prove that we are fucking worthy? Because I believe that any highly advanced civilization would basically be like Star Trek with the Prime Directive. Do not interfere in the evolution of other, sentient civilizations until they reach a particular point. Obviously, humanity may or may not have reached that point. I can't say obviously because then that contradicts. How is it obvious? I can't say obviously and then follow it with may or may not. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, we may have reached that point. We may not have reached that point. Who knows? I don't know. The CIA over there, and over there talking about all the UFO stuff, Pentagon's releasing shit and everything. They know more than that. You know what I mean? So in my opinion, we're not ready yet. We're not ready yet. And that's what it is. I remember what that Israeli commander said. He said something, that they're watching us, and that we gotta get past all this stupid thinking, all the non-critical thinking. We're too like, we're like children. We're like children, and they're gonna come down and give us free energy, and come down and give us, faster than light travel. You know what I mean? Imagine giving humans the ability to time travel. Oh, shit would be fucked up. You'd be talking to somebody, all of a sudden the motherfucker next to you disappears and shit. You're like, wait a minute, what the fuck happened? It'd be all type of Mandela effects all over the place. You're like, man, I know this person, but or I feel like there's somebody missing in my life. You're like, it'd be all fucked up. But anyway, I'm rambling on. That's all I gotta say. That's my video. SWP out.